the centuries of loneliness were to end.
Your collection of Leonardo da Vinci masterpieces, Mr. Flint. They appear to have been recently painted on contemporary canvas with contemporary materials.
Then, age, death, the taste of dust. Do you understand?
You wanted a perfect, ultimate woman. As brilliant, as immortal as yourself. Your mate for all time.
Merkaba master, I charter demons to other worlds, drive devils to plaster, rush them to hell, breathing asthma, place Satan on gurneys next to Hermes, send them off to their journey to Cleopatra. They read those chapters, egos captured, the Leo laughter, neoplasma, run through my veins in this matrix, and my basement became a plaza. And now I'm in the Sky Lounge with negative spirit hackers, build on math and we read the chapters, observe through our windows at the quiet disasters, riots at NASA, marches, gender pride, freedom rights for the masses, till we do away with first and second citizen classes. Religion is backwards, trying to comprehend to the pastor. This gym is like Jasper. Either we all live and strive for the youth to survive, or it all ends with the rapture. Forget waiting on the man, I'm making a plan. And for the ages of false statements, I'm taking a stand. Start an investigation on Satan with a cross in my hand. Make a plea guilty, now face the jury. We're in the courts of I am. If I could just vanish from off the planet, like magic, become caught from granite. Days, mathematics is understanding.
Hey, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear. Oh, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear.
A billion stories in the naked city. Ghost told me that his best friend needs a kidney. We froze, reminiscing Tiffany in the cold, open whiskey from the 20s, in the memory, sympathy, made the angels play a symphony, said he could've had a scholarship, toured different colleges, now he's out of it, fading away slowly on dialysis, his name remained anonymous. But here's my acknowledgements. Street legends and hood guards. Kingdom fall into a mirage. Ghetto depression sets in. Then we place weed and cigars. A child has difficulties concentrating. From where he lives, he sees his promises fading. He sees his pops gone, his mom's is aging. She trying to stay strong for a church congregation. And meanwhile, a kid named Rico was the coke king. A lot of siblings are the dope fiends, hope you scream. A lot of children with broken dreams, homes were clean. The most extreme, you got rich and what you sold to queens. Look what you did to Josephine. And Ebony is unheavenly. The devil's ready with open wings. As Lucifer uses love and his youthful mug. Then his blood on the cobra's fangs.
Hey, hey, did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear. Did you hear? This is the perfect place to disappear.
Through the mid.
All right, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of Dimona's Radio. Place pronounced Spawn. It's your host, now on the line. And I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the visionary of this next generation of righteous leadership in the person of Crown Prince Yosef Asasiel in Israel in the building. Shalom, shalom to my good brother. How you feeling?
Shalom, shalom. I'm doing well, brother. I thank you for asking. I would say, how are you doing? But I see it all over you, brother. You shining. You got the energy of a warrior of God as always. And so I'm still going to do the courtesy and ask you, brother, how are you feeling this wonderful afternoon?
Good. By the grace of Almighty God Allah.
Yes, sir.
And honored to have your acquaintance in brotherhood, in friendship, in
Yes, sir.
this sojourn towards the resurrection and liberation of our people. Glad that you are here on the scene and glad from the family that you descend from and ascend to quintessentially. So definitely an honor every time I hear from you and every time I see you, brother, because it looked dapper. You understand what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying? You look
Thank you,
dapper.
brother. Thank you.
So if we could begin on today, in the Islamic tradition, when someone makes their departure, we say, from Allah we come and to Allah we return. So with the sentiment on today, what does that sort of phraseology that the Quran alludes to, how does it speak to you today, Prophet?
The first thing in this dispensation of time that comes to mind, the finiteness of the physical body, that the body itself has a term limit, though we are striving to continuously get with the laws of creation, with the lights of systems, to be in harmony with the Creator, and therefore not just extend our lives, but start to speak into the ethers of this universe, everlasting life. But that's still a process. And the process that we currently find ourselves in is that this physical body has a term limit. But the beautiful thing about however finite your physical life may be, if you live in accordance with truth, if you live in harmony, especially if you are the original man or woman, with to ascertain freedom for your people, when you're seeking constantly in all that you do the liberation of Black people globally, knowledge of self, alignment, that which then produces unity amongst ourselves, so that then we can now have a confederacy to defeat the confederacy that was formed against us, that would impose our 400-year captivity. So when I think about what you just made mention of, from Allah we come and from Allah we must take scripture that you lifted up, I think about that, the power of knowing that you come from God. And if you know that you are from God, everything that you do should please. And then when you go back to God, then you know that your name will forever be remembered, because your life was a life well lived, that you now are written in the book of life, as the scriptures say, because what you have done has left such an impact on the people that you were left behind. Not only are they appreciative of your life, they seek to follow your example, and they seek to replicate that which you have done. And therefore now a new generation can be taught and trained and prepared in the way to seek righteousness and produce justice on this planet. And so I think about all of the great men and women who have been in alignment with that idea. But I have to, as we started our last beautiful discussion and conversation, speaking of the life of Queen Mother Khadijah Farrakhan, today was her janazah service, her homegoing service, for those in the middle term or that phraseology. And it's essentially the Islamic funeral burial service, but it has certain traditions that it follows, certain customs, certain practices. So some differences between a traditional Western funeral as we know it and a janazah service. But in an attendance in Mother Khadijah's janazah service, that which I just uttered is verified by how she lived her life. Though she was a mother of 9, a grandmother, I believe, of like 67, and a great great grandmother of Another two and counting, the wife of the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, the mother of the Nation of Islam, the mother of the faith, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and appropriately called her. She was also first and foremost that made all those other things relevant and impactful, obedient servant to Almighty God. And brothers and sisters who are listening to me, if there's anything that we can do in this life, I humbly request that you seek to find truth and that you live your life in accordance and in harmony with that truth and with that God of life, whatever name you may call it. But the impact that you will leave on this planet for good much outweighs whatever sacrifice that you think in to live a more strict or straightforward life. But the reality is that the blessings that you produce, the change that you usher in, the impact that you leave, you can't even value on it. Invaluable. And Mother Khadijah Farrakhan lived a life of immense value that you can't even qualify that value or you quantify that value. It becomes an invaluable. Because when you have that impact and continue to count and continue to learn the magnitude of it, and brother student minister Ishmael Muhammad, who held the janazah service, he said something so profound. He said, we really don't understand the fullness of Mother Khadijah's life, and we won't for some time, because that which she has planted, and I'm paraphrasing now, is still unfolding, is still coming into its season. Such is a life of a obedient servant of Almighty God. It'll be 500 years, 1,000 years properly, that will just now get the magnitude and the significance of what you contributed to the advancement of humanity and civilization. So I think about the value of living life properly, brother. I think about the value of not wasting 1 second on idleness or being, especially when you come into the knowledge of understanding of self, not again, and we're not perfect, and so we're going to do this or we may do that, but to the best of our ability, brother, that we remove all of the foolishness, we remove all of the cowardice, we remove all of those evil, wicked thoughts that we once held on to as a crutch, but now understand that they serve us no good, and they serve our family no good, and they serve our people no good, and that we strive to just do righteousness, man. I really want us as a people to value life in another way. That when we look at a life as Mother Khadijah's, as we honor her today, as the family is still honoring her, they're holding a repast as we speak. They just, not too long ago, laid her to rest at her final resting place here in Chicago. I look with all humility to look at how can I live my life to the fullest, not for my own personal pleasure, but find pleasure in seeking to solve the 400-year predicament that Black people have found ourselves in. And I think if we do that, we can change this thing almost overnight, brother.
Only take 20 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Only take 20 minutes. And that overnight is like a 20-minute time frame when we prioritize what's important to us. So if almost 2 million men can show up and 1 million women support them, support that convergence. Imagine the priority of how that couple million can move buildings. That's my thought in the moment. I heard the minister say 10,000 feelings. And I think when people hear numbers, I don't think that they quantify the effectiveness. If you ever seen somebody trying to lift 100 bricks,
Hmm.
add 100 to that, and just think about the visual representation of 10,000 bricks.
Yeah.
And you got one person or a couple of people. You could have 100 people out there trying to lift up 10,000 bricks. They're going to have a rough time. So imagine 10,000 fearless in every city in the United States dedicated to the resurrection work that we owe to our ancestors who came before us, our elders that are here now, our people that are here amongst us via our peer group and our children, and then our ancestors to return through our blood. And then tell me in your mind that the ability to be able to lift and move these 10,000 bricks is really an issue. If you put it on the scale on who's going to benefit. So when we think about what this life is and how it sets up how we're going to be remembered for time immemorial, is it not worth the toil and the strain that comes along with the movement and trajectory of resurrecting the mentally dead so that their children and grandchildren and great grandchildren in that great line of divine that we ascend from and descend from and ascend to knows nothing of this time of suffering, knows nothing of this time. They know righteously what the future holds and that their destiny is in their hands. So, Crown Prince, I want to ask you in the same vein, the vision of the visionaries with the convergence in this place almost 60 years ago, the kind of minds and hearts of your father, His Excellency Ben Ami, and so many of the unsons who stood up, who wanted to transform the lives of the people from a reclamation space of the land, of the language, of the destiny, of their future. We spoke about it in part one, but in part two, if you could explain us with more greater detail in regards to what that sacrifice meant, and if you could share just even some of the folks in the city who may not have made the trip physically, but was there monetarily, who was there, who stood up in other different regards in regards to what this future would look like, even at the time they may not have known all of the intricacies of what might lie ahead with them being astutely trained in this world.
I'm going to answer your question by taking an unorthodox approach. But if you follow me, I think it'll make sense. In particular, to my brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam, you should be very familiar with this, but anybody that possesses a desire to see black people free globally should appreciate this. May I ask you quickly, Brother Knowledge Born Allah, because I know you are not just a historian, you are a historian in general, but in specific, particular to the Nation of Islam and black liberation struggles. Point number 12 of what the Muslims believe. Are you familiar, brother? No, it's a rhetorical question. The first part talks about the reality of God, right? But what does that second part say? It said that God would, what, brother? A government, a universal government of peace. So what does that mean? It means that there will be others who may not be of the same faith as us, but who want the same as us. That the coming of God, the coming of this truth, the exposure and the awakening of Black people will activate, even in their own sectors, in their own regions of the earth, the power to overthrow the shackles, both physical and spiritual, from their hearts, minds, and bodies, so that they will not just see liberation for themselves, but they would have the human intelligence, the spiritual intelligence to form alliances to create that universal government of peace. That's what we went to do as the original Hebrew Israelite nation stationed in Jerusalem. We believed in our hearts that there was more to the existence of Black people than what we had been reduced to in our 400 years of captivity in America. We in the city that it was more than life, than Jim Crowism, than being relegated to police brutality and racism, whether it's overt or covert, whether you're in the North or the South, whether fighting for pennies, still trying to argue about integration and the ability to go to toilet with white people and to go to their schools and have fair economic opportunities. That once we push back 4 or 5 steps, we knew it was more to life than that. And since we, and listen, all of our people initially picked up the Bible, had been given the Bible to relegate you as a slave, but once we was able to read it for ourselves, like that great prophet Nathaniel Turner, we looked at it and seen it as a liberation document. We seen it as a liberation theology. So we, just like others, when we read Bible, yes, we seen a spiritual people of God, but we also seen an instruction on how to exact our liberation. And so we said, hey, if this book can be used, it's internal mechanisms that are able to activate internal truths, then we would go to follow the example that was given to us by this book. And so we said, let's go back to the land that we say spiritually and scripturally we're from. So we left America saying we would leave like the children out of Israel left Egypt from the lands of captivity and return back irrespective to what was on the other side, a land that we could control our own destiny. We were not following after no white people. We were not trying to emulate or imitate Jewish Europeans. We didn't even give a damn who we found in that land. We said we wanted to live in the land that was given to us and would be granted to us by our God and the fathers of our God. And so we went to Israel, brother, to be a people unto themselves. And when you talk about the sacrifice that's made, you have to sacrifice everything. And we were willing to sacrifice everything because we were, even in our ignorance, even in our youth, we were intelligent enough to know that to get long-term success and freedom, that we would have to deal with the immediate suffering and pain of our current decisions. And so we left America. Upon leaving to America, we took a trek into West Africa because we said we wanted to go through the same journey back into the land that we had taken coming out of the land. And so since we said in us being expelled from Israel, the Holy Lands, and then being pushed into the interior of Africa, unto West Africa, onto the slave ships of the Europeans into America, which we had been experiencing and called the land of captivity for 400 plus people, that we would take that same journey back to Israel. So we went into West Africa, Liberia. We didn't stay in Monrovia. We were in the bush, and being in the bush for people that were only used to being in the inner city of Chicago, we had no running water. We had no grocery stores. We had no money. Our children and adults for the first several weeks were suffering malnutrition, dehydration, every malaria, every disease that you could imagine and couldn't imagine, being in the just dealing with black mambas, which is the most deadliest snake. Not talking about Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, but talking about the literal black mamba snakes that could kill you in an instant. You wouldn't even know. You'd be dead before you even realize what happened. Fire ants big as your hand, and other poisonous snakes and everything else. This is the life that we subjected ourselves to. But we said, hell, we'd rather be in the jungle than go back to America, because we knew that this was temporary. Temporary for two reasons. Know that we would eventually come out of it, but we also knew that we would be able to adapt. But one thing's for sure, the way to be in harmony with nature. We realized after 400 years that there was no harmony with our open enemy, brother Knowledge Born Allah. And so we stayed in West Africa for nearly 2 years, brother, before we finally went to Israel as a people. And upon arriving in Israel, the first of us, first in 1968, we left America in 1967 and went into Liberia. But the first two, His Excellency, our spiritual leader, Ben Ami, and one of the great founding fathers and pioneers, his right-hand man as far as scout, venturing out and doing recon and reconnaissance missions. His name was Prince Keskiahu. They were the first two to land in Israel in 1968. And when getting there, His Excellency Ben Ami said, well, I have to go back and check on our people in Liberia, and I got to do this and I got to do that. But you got to stay. So go make friends for us. Go learn the ways. Do what needs to be done so that when we come back as a people, we have a place that we can call our own. Keskia, who went to work, and he went into villages and what they call moshavs, which is like smaller communities, and learned the ways, learned how to build homes from scratch and farm and all of these things. But this was in the middle region of Israel, where there were green grass and where you had vegetation and all of these things. And he was able to return under the current law at the time, which was called the law of return. So if you had an affinity to be the children of Israel, reconnect with your Hebraic or your natural, what you call Jewish way of life, that you could return and be a citizen in the state of Israel with all of its perks and all of its benefits. But the thing is, 1 or 2 black people from America, okay, sure, we'll let you come on through. 1969, the first family, Nasik Gavriel at the time, which is now Nasik Gavriel, maybe the second of our oldest male in the community, and His Excellency Ben Ami's best friend met His Excellency Ben Ami at the age of 10. He's also known for writing the great book Impregnable People, which talks about the journey of leaving America, going into Liberia, and then finally arriving into Israel. This was the first family in 69 to reach the Holy Lands, and they got their citizenship. And then after that, the floodgates were open, and brothers and sisters, and then the Israeli government stopped us. Hey, no. You know what? We got to change this law. And so we're going to go against what we say we believe. And then they changed the law from the law of return, pretty much allowing anybody who said they come under the laws of Torah and consider themselves to be the lost children of Israel, to saying that now you had to prove Jewish. And the only way that they said qualified you to be Jewish is that you had to prove that you come biologically from a Jewish mother, i.e. a European Jewish mother. And so all of us, brothers and sisters, maybe except one, were disqualified. Not Gavriel now, their citizenship was revoked. And so now we're in no man's land. But again, we had decided long ago, after facing monsoon rains and mosquitoes as big as birds and bats and black poisonous mamba snakes and everything else, we decided, no, we're not going back. We're going to forge through. And so we decided to stay without no citizenship, without no status, without any of those things that so-called first world countries afford to the lowest of their immigrants or the lowest to their country. And essentially, we could say we were entering under asylum because there has never been a people so destroyed unlike that of the black people coming out of North America. But yet and still we were denied. So the same racist face that we left in America had reappeared in the East in Israel. But we were undeterred. We kept on forging through. More of us kept coming. And the most beautiful thing happened, brother. Through sacrifice, through circumstance, through some of the most boring on the most inhumane conditions possible, we decided to do for self. And I did mention the first brother, Prince Keskiahu, started in the more green, luscious, developed area. By the time we came as a people, we were now shipped down to what they call the southern part of Israel, which is known as the Negev, which is the arid, dry desert. And so we were put in the desert, but not just any part of the desert. We were put in the city of Dimona. Dimona is the city that houses its nuclear reactor site. And so now we were shipped several miles outside of that nuclear reactor site in the desert with no means to replicate ourselves through their systems, nor the ability to, we have children, to educate them, to learn a language. So we were completely pariahs of society. But as I stated, those conditions were perfect, brother, for us to do for self. And so amongst those conditions, we started to build our own schools. We developed our own birthing centers. We created the necessary dietary practices that would, so we don't have to go to your hospitals, because not only can we prevent ourselves from being sick by the proper eating habits, i.e. the vegan, plant-based diet, we got also to send our children to your hospitals, which we know are really havens of death and destruction. Some of the most wicked things that happen, in particular to black children, in a lot of these hospitals. We won't go down that road. That's another conversation for another day. But we were now creating our own world, brother. So we became what the actual U.S. Congress would say some years later, some decades later, to be the miracle in the desert. And we most certainly was a miracle in the desert. And so as our community started to grow, we started to blossom. We started to, through the ambassador, our late great father, Prince Asasiel, to build relationships and alliances, not just in America with our black leadership and our black politicians and grassroots organizations, but he also would go all throughout the continent of Africa, North, East, South, and West, and Central Africa, and build relationships with heads of states. The most notable at the beginning of his process as the international ambassador for the African Hebrew Nation, Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, in 1973, where the 6th Pan-African Conference was being held by His Excellency Julius Nyerere, the president of the newly established Tanzania government. And there were nearly 200 Black American delegation, but it was 2 brothers, not a part of that delegation, but they were born in America and obviously were black, who did not get observer status, but were able to participate and have a vote because they were identified as a was my father, Prince Asasiel, and the prince that was accompanying him. This is what we did, brother. We would eventually establish relationships with the Liberian president at the highest level. We would develop relationships with different presidents, Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, who would become free in the 1980s, breaking away from the British crown and changing that colonial relic of a name as Rhodesia. These are the things. We will establish a beautiful relationship with Queen Mother Winnie Mandela, who in the early 2000s would journey up to Israel and said, this community is the Mecca. This would be the testimonies of greats that will come, who bore witness to what we had built. But this is what I want us to hear. The Black Hebrew Israelite nation, all the suffering that we had to undergo, all of the trials and tribulations, there's so much in there. We're talking about us being deported. We're talking about us being arrested. We're talking about the day of show of strength when our community was surrounded with hundreds of Israeli Defense Force officers and tanks and machine guns seeking to take our very lives. We're talking about our personal father, Prince Asasiel, who was arrested for 30 years, charged for 365 years on RICO and RICO conspiracy. Obviously got out because I was born as a result of that. So these are the suffering that we had to go, but the ability to say that what we doing was not just right and in the right time, but we were guided by the laws of God, and we were guided by the spirit of that living God, and we were able to do things that seem unfathomable to most people. But I want to say that the Hebrew Israelite nation in Jerusalem own silo is a microcosm of the macrocosm of the Black world. We were in the international space what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam was in America, a nation within a nation to become a global civilization and a righteous empire of God's righteous people. That's what we were doing. So irrespective to you say, well, I'm not no Hebrew Israelite, I don't believe in that. That's foolish talk. We went and showed what you can do when Black people get in alignment, sacrifice, go through that sacrifice, and come out on the other end made anew. We became a new people. How do you become a new people? Well, some of you who's drunk, and I seen some of you smoke cigarettes. Yeah, that all happened. But this is how we became a new people, because we were no longer beholden to white people. We were no longer needing to have to suffice ourselves through which those governments who had dominion over us would parcel out to us. We controlled our own reality. For 20 years, and I'll close on this, Brother Nala, because I want to give it away to you, but I'm passionate about this, as you can see. For 20 years, they now aspect of government from us in the means of help, aid, and assistance. They actively sought to destroy us by every means possible. But yet, not only did we survive, we thrived, brother. We thrived. And we showed the planet that no matter where we are, again, when we choose truth, life, when we choose ourselves and our best interests and align our energies and our efforts and our ways and our means to produce freedom and sovereignty, it can be a full. But you cannot get weak, and you cannot be small-minded in the pursuit of that freedom. You got to give it all you got. So to bring it all around back to to bring it full circle, at least back to our dear Mother Khadijah and what we experienced at the Janazah, we don't honor Mother Khadijah. We don't honor the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. We don't honor the giants of the Nation of Islam. We don't honor the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We don't honor these great men and women unless they completely submit themselves to the process of liberation for that outcome. And we were a part of those who submitted to that process, brother, and gave our all to see our people free.
You know, I love it. And I asked that question because I want the people who are listening to understand what it means by sojourn. There's a word, right? There's a word that's there, but you don't see the lives that are connected. So when Sister Ruth told her mother-in-law, I will go where you go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. When she told her mother that, she committed to a sojourn. All of the things that you described of a people who were breaking off the shackles of an identity crisis that had tethered them through the generations, and they went through a purification ritual that broke those shackles. It's good, Crown Prince, to read about Beni Israel. It's good to profess with your tongue to say, hey, we the people of the book. We God's people. Until you're in the space where you started, until you're in a place where all your creature comforts are gone and you strip from everything that you know. And in that mind frame, you're questioning, did I make the right decision? It's good to allude to those things without any trial or tribulation. Who are you in the trial? Who are you in the tribulation? You are sojourning. When you're sojourning through those places out there on the other side. And then you get to the other side and you met with another trial and another tribulation. I want you to understand what it means to be chosen, what it means to be a sojourner. These aren't just words that are colloquial to deal with our ego from the space. These are assignments. These are destinies that come out in the wash of existence. Hearing the sights and the sounds, hearing from the people, young and old, hearing from the people known and unknown, hearing from the people in the city. I was more inspired, more this brother over here, oh, this brother's a Pan-African, oh, he deals with Kemetic science. He's a Moor, he's a Christian, he's a Muslim, he's an atheist. They all put their insight and resources to make sure that those who were so desirous could go do something. Oh, this delegation that came over here from Liberia, they was Donald Marcus Messiah Garvey's people. Like, wait a minute. I thought that these people and these people don't get together. That would be foolish of you. You understand? So with all of these things considered, what it means to go through and be a sojourner, and in that process of being wax wise and wisdom, as the scriptures say, that's not an easy process. Hey, go down there to Pharaoh, the house you grew up in, and go tell him, let my people go.
Teaching, brother.
Go into this place right here. Oh, we're going to destroy this organization from the inside out. Hey, go rebuild it. Go rebuild it. Oh, we're going to take some of the closest people to you and turn them against you. Where are you? So, in the space of sojourning, understand what that means to be the principal sojourner. You sure you want to be chosen? You sure you want to be raised up? You sure you want to be anointed?
Yeah.
But these are the things that are undeniable to us. It happens regardless to whom we are. So I asked the question to give the people a frame of reference. Like these folks come from where we come from. These folks are who we are. And look what they did.
Yeah.
This settlement is longer in some instances than the independence of some of the African countries that we know. Think about that. What they wanted to establish for themselves and what they were willing to do in order to make it come into existence, not from a philosophical perspective alone. Oh, this is ours. This is what we do. And we never leave in this. You understand what I'm saying, Southland? Like the way my heart feels, glad, when I speak about examples to this degree, I can always go here. I can always go here. And the more detail that I hear, the more of the story that I hear, the more I'm apt to propagate to those who do not know. To make I was born in this.
Knowledge, may I? Really
Yes,
quick.
sir.
It's so important that we study history because, first, let me say this, brother. I'm always marveling at your ability to tie everything together so succinctly. You're absolutely right. We count. It's to our young people the way it was taught to me, but we count ourselves amongst those African nations who in the 60s and 70s gained their liberation from their European colonial empires that were colonizing African people wherever they may be found. And so we seen ourselves as a liberated nation, just like Ghana, just like I said, Tanzania, just like we said, Zimbabwe, just like we said when South Africa destroyed the apartheid racist government. You say, what are these governments we're stealing? It's a process, but this is why we have to learn from history. Now, here I go. When we look at our people today, one of the greatest issues they're suffering is from mental health. And we have depression at the top of our list as one of the most issues, in particular for Black men. An oversimplified thing of depression is feeling like you don't have any options. And being a Black person, being conditioned and developed in the white European thinking, I can see how that could be the case. But that's why you have to search and know history. A brother asked me, he said, what do you consider yourself? Are you a historian? Are you a philosopher? Are you this? Are you that? I said, that's a good question. And so I tried to look through what I said first, what do I do? That's my community. Obviously, this, and this. I said, but from an intellectual standpoint, I study history to find the greatest ideas that were produced from our people so that I can create this mosaic of freedom to show not just my generation, but future generations coming after me. An intellectual historian. That's what they call it. But look at this. My and got my shawl, and a Ghanaian kind of satchel that has the symbols on it. And simultaneously, my brother and Kente, which is a Ghanaian pattern, my brother has a Sajefo, Kami, and Kruma. The Redeemer, that's what a Sajefo means, correct, brother? Because not only did he have he was the first prime minister and the first president of the liberated Ghana in 1957, though his own people would seek to overthrow and did overthrow him by the backing of the CIA and other British governmental forces. But that's what a Redeemer does. You may not get it in the moment, but you will get it in the future if you but look and listen. He wrote a book called Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism, where he warned us about the economic mechanisms that will be put in place to keep Africa in a perpetual state of subservience and inferiority. Do we not see that now? Why am I saying what I'm saying? I'm going to bring it home, brothers and sisters. Study complete history. I'm sharing our story because I showed us what we were able to do without no finance or no financial from European nation or people, what we were able to do amongst ourselves, starting essentially from nothing. But in a few years' time, we were able to sustain ourselves as a people. A small group of a few hundred, ultimately grown into a few thousand of black men and women, not just from America, but from the Isles of the Sea and different parts of the world, would build a nation amongst themselves, doing for self. But look at the other side to it. Their whole cards are built on illusion. But look what has happened. Even, and you have the global implications from the economic and military standpoint of the war-torn battle with Iran and Palestine. Iran has paralyzed the economic world by blocking the Strait of Hormuz. The money has dried up. Countries are suffering. America, who started with one posture, has now a new posture. The Israel, who at the beginning of this thing, everybody's saying they was completely subservient to. But it was when they seemed like they had a position of power. Iran didn't fall the way they thought they would. And now they're to strangle the economic world by keeping sanctions and controlling the Strait of Hormuz. But look at this, black people. Look at this, my brothers and sisters. Look at this. Those of us who reside in America, they say we have a purchasing power of nearly $2 trillion. No, we don't have that in black businesses. No, we don't produce that on our own, but it goes through our hands. And a large amount of that goes through our communities. That means in some form or fashion, whether they're somebody else's businesses or not, the money that fuels the economic system of America goes through the Strait of the hoods of our communities. We have our own Strait of Hormuz here through the inner cities of America that are controlled black people. You have the ability to strangle America's financial system by cutting off that spigot and saying, no, we ain't letting y'all set up shop in here no more. You know what we did in 2020 to our own stuff? We have the ability to do to other people's businesses when they come in. And we cocktails, we ain't got to do all that. We can stop shopping. We can stop letting people come in our communities and setting up shop. We can stop taking our money and buying frivolous things that we really don't need. How we know we don't need them? Because we community that you don't need that. We proved as a community that you got everything you need within your own ingenuity and creativity. So if you mirror your ability to cut the finances off from outside, predatory, white, Jewish, Islamic, Arabics, Asians, whoever, other Hispanics that come in and try to destroy and rip out our finances out of our system and take them back to their communities. We cut that off, and then we stop spending money with white people thinking that their ice is colder, and then we get amongst each other and do for sale. And we look at the example of what the Hebrews were able to do in Israel in the desert, a couple of miles away from a nuclear reactor plant, where we learned in the desert how to build our own birthing centers. We ain't coming to your hospitals no more. You ain't killing our babies no more. No more Grady babies for those who in Atlanta. No more babies Jefferson Park for those in Chicago. I'm sure every city got a hospital where you know it's a chance that you die if you go in there, so you rather just take chances on your own. Yeah, we building a diet that we don't have to go to the hospitals, but we're going to stop feeding McDonald's, Burger King, Popeyes, Canaan, Raising Cane's, all these places. But they taste so good. Nothing that we're eating is actually food anymore. Process. Well, how we going to grow our own fruits and vegetables? We can't go to the grocery stores. We just told you we built greenhouses in the desert. We found out a way to produce our own fruits and vegetables in the desert. What you think we can do in Chicago? What you think we can do in Atlanta? What you think we can do in Los Angeles? What do you think we can do in these places if we stop taking a childlike disposition and looking at what we don't have and start to look at what we do have? Study history. I didn't went into a tangent, brother, but you sparked something in my mind, because I'm saying we got too many examples of what just got to do it. But that's the problem. We've been, a lot of it's our own ignorance, but a lot of it is the enemy keeping this from us, telling and other black people parroting what the Negroes that went to Israel. The Muslims are just anti-Semitic hate mongers and this and this and this. And you get caught up and you start to believe, oh, I'm staying away from all of that. But you're staying away from your own blessings. And we're saying, you and I got all we need, but we want unity. We got to first start with alignment. And what's alignment? What is it that you want, that I want, that we can come to an agreement? The best should be freedom. It should be salvation for our people, for our babies. And then from that, we'll develop the behavioral and cultural practice that's needed to bring that into fruition. But we're saying we got a 60-year head start. We went to Israel not to keep everything that we had over there to ourselves, to come back to our people and look and say, look what we have done. Now, what can we do with 40, 50 million America, if we so choose, with the information example that a few of us who left it forged the way forward in the 60s and the early 70s now can do in 2026, going into 2027. Sorry, brother, for being so passionate.
Don't you dare, conference. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. I think
Queen Mother got me fired up.
Hey, I want to leave it right here for part 3. I want to leave it right here for part 3. Good, and we will get it scheduled as soon as possible to have him come back and speak to
let's stop. If I may, I don't know, you busy, but I'm gonna put it out there. Let's make this a weekly thing, brother. I control my schedule. So if we come every week and we discuss geopolitics and we take an hour and let's go through this thing, because the history is so rich. I mean, I'll be 120 before, and stuff gonna keep adding and keep adding before I get through the first 20 years. And so let's do this the right way. If with God's permission and your other, let's make this a weekly occurrence, man. And we come in just an hour. We just do an hour. We take a subject, 2 or 3 questions, and we go in, brother, and we keep educating the people, and from there we build from there. So absolutely, I would love to.
So look, and y'all think God can answer prayers? I don't know what to call it. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, we get an hour of power with the Prince.
Yes, sir.
There it goes. You know, we could bring in certain people, you know, that we can connect with, and you know, do how we did. Because before they only had audio, right? So Nasi Gabriel gave us that story, audio. You know, he gave it to us. You know, Saw Mariel, he gave it to us, audio. You know, so we had some things over the years and all of that. So we have the set ability to do what we need to do now. I would love to hear the story. I would love to hear the uh, righteously. So,
Yes, sir.
come on, Prince.
Let's do it.
I know you got to find a word for us, and where people can find other than here every week.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes, I am being more active on social media. I took a hiatus between Pops and my own. Well, after that, I was active a little bit, but last couple of years I have been inactive, just working and trying to get things done. But I can be found on Melik Yosef on Instagram. That's MELEK YOSEF. The same can be done on Facebook. And on YouTube, it's Crowned Prince Yosef Asasiel. And so I do have a X. I never used it, but I will start taking some of these quotes and being a little active on there. But outside of that, you can find me on Doodle Knowledge Radio. Coming soon. I am writing a book. I've been writing it for a little bit of time. With me, but he's also helped me through this process because I'm just trying to do justice to the previous generation by making sure I count accurately their contributions, at least many as I can, but also do justice for the future generation, that we leave them a guide, a handbook, a strategy for whatever trials and tribulations they may befall them, and that they can pull on these historical anecdotes and some of these blueprints so that they will be able to circumnavigate these murky waters. So that's also in the pipeline. But again, I guess you can find me right here on Do the Knowledge Radio Show. So, but thank you. Before I go, I have to say this. I know I have to say this. None of this would be possible without the creator of the heavens and the earth.
I was going there.
Yeah, identify him as Yahweh. I want to thank our spiritual leader, His Excellency Ben Ami Hamashiach, leadership and council, all of our brothers and sisters that striving for righteousness on this planet, and all of the ancestors who have given their life to see our people be advanced in a righteous way. But I'm especially grateful for my father, Prince Asasiel Ben Israel, my teacher, my leader, my guide, my example, the man that I pray that I could be, one day become. And I'm forever grateful for the womb that I came through, and that's my mother, that beautiful, loving, obedient servant of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that being said, brother, and to your listening audience, to your listening audience, I thank you for those that are listening now and in the future. Because I'm grateful for not just indulging us, but that we're able to work together, as a cohesive unit and family, so that we so desperately deserve, but we will see it come into fruition. Thank you, Brother Knowledge.
Prince, honest to you, honest to your family, and honest to your legacy, honest to your future. And we'll be right back next week with another installment of Our Power with the Prince. You understand? I like how. So, peace and blessings. Yeah.
In the 1970s, as he served a prison sentence for armed robbery, H. Rap Brown became a Muslim and changed his name to Jamil Al-Amin. On March 16, 2000, at 10 o'clock at night, Fulton County Sheriff deputies served a warrant for Al-Amin, a missed court date on a traffic charge. A man who pulled up in a Mercedes near Al-Amin's house opened fire, killing Deputy Ricky Kitchen. Authorities found Al-Amin.
Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Pause that poetic, H-Rap Brown. Student the Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC, formulated in the 60s. The height of civil rights erupt in the city streets. No justice, just fighting for the liberty. Arrested for riots, but not before you heard the cry. Violence is American as cherry pie. Serving as minister of justice before the Panther Partnership end in abruptness. Organizing against racial attacks. Armed self-defense for a nation of blacks. With presidents he sat. Enforced potent gas. Organized registered voting acts. The young and passionate often will become activists. Killed by guns of savages. Far from pacifists. Clashing with racist nationalists. Government run by capitalists. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Wanted and taunted by the FBI. Brown shot by a deputy and left to die. No answer needed, no question why. Just to survive, decided it was best he hide. OT, lay low obviously. Regroup and retroop possibly. A year later, shootout with NYPD. Arrested, convicted, attempted robbery. Upstate in Attica for 5 years. Guess the time helped get his mind clear. Reset the revolutionary pioneer. Came home strong with refined ideas. Converted to Islam on his deen. H. Brown, not Imam Jamil Al-Amin. Moved to Atlanta, new on the scene. Opened the grocery store, got the community clean. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. A decade later, the year is 2K. Serving a warrant for failure to appear to his case. Supposedly deputies leaving his place. He was headed home, they meet him face to face. 2 cops shot, one was dead. From the hospital bed, mumbled and said, Jamil Al-Amin, the gunman alleged. Captured in Alabama on the run, he fled. Still in possession of the murder weapon. Body armor dressing for further protection. No alibi, whereabouts, words in question. Charged and convicted, no heard confessions. Sentence, life, no parole. 24 hours locked tight in a hole. 20 years later, hoping the fight will turn in old. Light barrels keep fire burning in they soul. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown. Cool cat, black shades, afro crown. Calm and collected, speaking that profound. Vanguard, front line, and one back down. Poised and poetic, H-Rap Brown.